Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Minister of Defence Yoav Gallant bear criminal responsibility for the following international crimes.
International bodies like the ICC arose in the wake of the Holocaust committed against the Jewish people. They were set up to prevent such horrors.
Articulated differences amongst them.
Prime Minister Netanyahu and also his Defense Secretary Gallant, lumping them in with Sinwar and the other terrorists of Hamas, claiming that the Israeli people are committing genocide. It's just outrageous. It's a disgrace. I've spent my whole career as an international lawyer. I've never seen anything like this. This is why the United States never joined the ICC, and it's why I'm supporting bipartisan congressional legislation introduced by Senator Cotton and Congressman McCall and others to sanction the ICC and to put the full measure of U.S. diplomatic weight behind an effort to shut this sham investigation down. As long as Ayatollah Khomeini is there, and they're committed to this. I'm calling on Senator Schumer today, President Biden, to bring Senator Tom Cotton's bill, sanction the ICC to the floor of the Senate. I think it's going to pass the House this week. I think it should be bipartisan. These should be 100-0 votes in the Senate, and 435 votes to 0 in the House. Although the Hamas caucus in the House probably won't go that way. But I think we need to make sure that there's a strong bipartisan consensus, really pushing back on the ICC, because Israel is first, we're next. They're going to come after soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines. They're going to come after Joe Biden. They're going to come after Jake Sullivan and Tony Blinken. There's no, if we let this happen, that they can go after the elected leaders of a democratic country of Israel that's conducting this war in the most humane fashion you can imagine in a modern military operation, doing things that even the U.S. doesn't do. Then they're coming after us next. We've got to shut this ICC down. It's got to be bipartisan. And I'm calling on President Biden to get involved personally and show leadership here and shut this investigation down immediately. We've got to move quickly. Israel needs to defeat Hamas in Rafah. What defeat means, that's up to the Israelis to define, but that means rescuing the hostages, getting Sinwar, who's like a Baghdadi or a Osama bin Laden type character, getting him in a kill and capture raid, freeing the hostages, and bringing an end to what I call the physical caliphate of Hamas. And once they've done that, then we can move on to the day after and look at other regional issues like normalization with Saudi Arabia. And in a really fine tradition of a modern humanitarian military. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this the meetings we had, in my view.
And understand what it takes to get hostages and prisoners home.
We were very close to bringing Saudi Arabia into the deal. Unfortunately, the Biden administration from the outset, attacked the Saudis, tried to turn them into a pariah state, and spent all their time trying to appease Iran. And so what we've seen is that now they finally learned that Saudi Arabia is the key to peace in the Middle East, and a normalization between Saudi Arabia and Israel would be a great idea. It's something I've advocated for many years. Part of what happened on October 7th was an attempt by the Iranians to derail that normalization. And so I think the conditions do exist, but not until Hamas is defeated. If the Saudis are asking for a two-state solution and a pathway to Palestinian statehood, that can only happen when the Palestinians fully commit themselves to peaceful coexistence with Israel, recognize Israel's right to exist, and start moving in a different path than they are now. And that requires the defeat of Hamas in Rafah. So after that, I think that the conditions may be there.
The extremely wrong-headed decision by the ICC prosecutor yesterday, the shameful equivalence implied between Hamas and the leadership of Israel, I think that only complicates the prospects for getting such an agreement. We'll continue to forge ahead to do that, but that decision, as you said, on so many levels is totally wrong-headed. And we'll be happy to work with Congress, with this committee, on an appropriate response.
Definitely true, and our partnership is also important for the security of Europe.
Yes, I do. Her name is Nova. Labrador.
Well, this is a deeply unhelpful development. Of course, it's still subject to final decision, but it remains deeply unhelpful nonetheless. There is no moral equivalence between a democratic state exercising its lawful right to self-defense and the terrorist group Hamas.
הצו האבסורדי והשקרי של התובע בהאג לא מכוון רק נגד ראש ממשלת ישראל ונגד שר הביטחון. הוא מכוון נגד מדינת ישראל כולה. הוא מכוון נגד חיילי צה"ל שנלחמים בגבורה עילאית במרצחי החמאס השפלים שתקפו אותנו באכזריות נוראה ב7 באוקטובר. התובע בהאג, באיזה חוצפה אתה מעז להשוות בין מפלצות החמאס לבין חיילי צה"ל, הצבא המוסרי ביותר בעולם? באיזה חוצפה אתה משווה בין החמאס שרצח ושרף וביטר וערף ואנס וחטף את אחינו ואחיותינו, לבין חיילי צה"ל שנלחמים מלחמה צודקת שאין כמוה במוסריות שאין דומה לה? כראש ממשלת ישראל, אני דוחה בשאט נפש את ההשוואה של התובע בהאג בין ישראל הדמוקרטית לבין רבי המרצחים של החמאס. זה עיוות מוחלט של המציאות.
The announcement of the prosecutor of the ICC is beyond outrageous and shows the extent to which the international judicial system is in danger of collapse. Taken in bad faith, this one-sided move represents a unilateral political step that emboldens terrorists around the world and violates all the basic rules of the court according to the principles of international law, complementarity, and other legal norms. Hamas's leaders are oppressive dictators, guilty of launching mass murder, mass rape, mass kidnapping of men, women, and children. Any attempt to draw parallels between these atrocious terrorists and a democratically elected government of Israel working to fulfill its duty to defend and protect its citizens entirely in adherence with the principles of international law is outrageous and cannot be accepted by anyone. We will not forget who started this war, who raped, butchered, burnt, brutalized, and kidnapped innocent civilians and families. We will not forget our hostages, whose safe return should be the main concern of the international community. We expect all leaders in the free world to condemn outright this step and firmly reject it.
واضح تماما أنه قرار أو التوجه لإصدار قرار من المحكمة الجنائية الدولية فيما يتعلق بجرائم الاحتلال وما يقوم به في إطار حرب الإبادة، والتي تحدثنا بشكل واضح تماما منذ سنوات طويلة حول أهمية أن لا تستخدم المحكمة الجنائية الدولية المعايير المزدوجة والكيل بمكيالين عندما يتعلق الأمر بالاحتلال، لأنه شاهدنا في مناطق أخرى من العالم يكون هناك إسراع في اتخاذ القرار، ولكن فيما يتعلق لدينا هنا في فلسطين المحتلة يكون الأمر مختلف تماما.